Hello, good morning. How are you today? My name is Praise Forward, and I'm a family life practitioner and coach. I've worked in the sector for 17 years of my life, and right now, people regard me as one of the leading practitioners to have come out of Africa. Now, I get asked a lot of questions by many of my mentees, who are trying to start up a family life practice, and oftentimes they don't know how to start. Now, I've seen a lot of them get certifications, and they still tell me the clients are not coming to them, and some of them don't even have certification, and they don't know how to take off. Right. I'm just going to narrow this down to, a 4-5 step process that I think can help you. I'll try and do more of this kind of video so that it can help people out there and solve some of the challenges you're going through. Now, the first thing I always need to say to people is that if you want to work in the family life sector, especially in Africa, the first thing you need is self-discovery and intentional reputation, because a lot of us just want to stumble on it. People want to do it out of passion. That's a sector that is pretty dominated by religious leaders. And why that is not a problem in itself, because they've tried to rescue a lot of marriages that could have collapsed in the way they know. We must applaud them. We cannot criticize, what they have done, because without them, it could have been worse. So the first thing you need to do is to self-discover who you are and be certain that this is what you want to do. And when you have discovered that, you need to create an intentional reputation as someone who can solve people's problem. Now, problem with many of us is people go to a school and gain certification and they automatically feel that people are just going to come up to them. No, people don't come up to people like that. They first need to trust you. They first need to believe that you have all it takes to handle their cases. They need to see maturity. They need to see competence. They need to have heard about you. And that's why for everyone you work with, you need to get them to put a recommendation on how your session has practically helped them, right? Because that helps you build up a bit of credibility that makes people, come to you. I remember when I started, I wasn't married, and I was, working in a continent where people think that for you to handle marital cases or family life cases, you need to be married. So I get a lot of questions, from some of my clients. And what worked for me as a leverage was fact I was writing for newspaper, a leading newspaper in Nigeria. I did that for 10 years of my life. And they will come and they will look at me, my small stature, and they would say things like, by the way, are you married? And I always ask them, by the way, has your wife ever put to bed? And they say yes. Who delivered her? They will say medical doctor, male or female. They will say male. And I'll ask, has he ever put to bed before? Now, usually they get the message, because in Africa, we do not know that this is a profession that has got its own ethos, that has got its own training, and that people can be trained without getting married or with even having issues in their own marriage, and they can still solve your own problem. Now, so you need to self-discover and build an intentional reputation. So don't go on Facebook and just do anything anyhow. Don't go and write things that is not in line with what you want to be known for. So you want to be known as a family life therapist, but everything you're writing about is soft sell and gossip. Nobody is going to come to you for any serious level of counseling, because they can't relate who you say you are with what is dominating your social media space. Or, what reputation do you have among people? What do people call you for? You need to be able to sort this out first. Number 2 is training. Training is very, very critical, because you are dealing in a sector with a complete set of body of knowledge. And in Africa, we do not have so many institutes that can train. And that's why we set up the Institute of Family Life and Development, to help will be family life practitioners on the science of family life and how to effectively, create a practice and know how to crack cases and know how to write reports and know how to use psychometric tests, to diagnose cases effectively, right? So your training is key. Don't just say you're passionate. Passion is not enough. You can't just read Bible and begin to counsel people on their marital cases. Because your clients can sue you, after a while. A lot of people don't even know that, you're not supposed to tell your clients what to do. But many people just dish out instruction. People meet them on social media and say, what do you think I should do? And they tell them what they think they should do. You can be quoted. And one of the worst that can happen to you is when your clients can quote you and say, this was what you told me to do, and I did it and it didn't work out, or something like that. So You need to find a reputable institute with a pedigree and reputation for producing, tested professionals. Now, we don't have too many of them in Africa. Yeah, there are quite a number of them in America, but in Africa, we don't have too many of them. So I would recommend Institute of Family Engineering and Development. You can get on their website, www.ifedacademy.com, to help, for starters at least. Now, I'm aware that some of you have taken NLP and you've taken some other programs that life coaching that you're trying to deploy in this space is very good. I mean, those programs are good, but they're not tailor-made for what you want to do. So yes, they will help you when it comes to coaching, but you may not have what it takes to help your clients effectively achieve the result they want to achieve, even though some of the programs are very, 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 very enlightening and the body of knowledge is quite acceptable. But I always recommend something in line with who you say you are, because it gives you a bit of leverage and credibility, and you get a group of people who are actually doing something similar. So certification is very key. And please, when you're getting certified, you need to find out the institute, the registration of the institute. You need to find out the credibility and the people who run it. You need to look at their board. You need to look at their tools. These are critical issues, because if they don't have proper tools, if all they have is native intelligence or dishing out advice, then you will still run into trouble, right? And because the reputation of an institute will determine whether people do business with you or not, so you need to find out all those things. That the registered, properly registered, are they licensed to do what they say they're doing, and what have you, then when you leave the institute, having been trained, the next thing you need to learn is you don't go and set up a workspace immediately, because you have not mastered the use of your tools. So what you need to do is to go to the field immediately. In fact, if you can get mentoring, or you can go and intern with someone who is already established, that will do you a lot of good. So don't go ahead immediately and set up a shop. No, you need to intern or go to fieldwork and test what you have learned from class. That's why any certification program that certifies you after a few days in class or a few months in class is not helping you. They need to allow you go to the field and test what you have done, and you need to be supervised and now face a panel for you to be certified. That's the right way to do things. So go to a place where you can do it for free. Go to communities where you can offer it for free and test your result. I mean, I went to Ajegunle for 7 years, many years ago, to go and test what I had learned, with a group of young people for 7 years, and the result has been mind-blowing and massive. And because I tested it in that field, it was very, very easy for me to deliver it at any level right now across the globe. So that's very key. Now, when you have mastered the use of your tools, you can diagnose cases accurately, you can write reports, you can run basic therapy, you can help people set up a system. Then the next thing you can now do is you can set up your office. And basically, you don't have to spend so much. You can do co-working space, or you can set up a small place where you have a receptionist and you. Now, your receptionist has got to be trained on how to welcome people, basic customer service etiquette. But beyond that, she needs to be properly skilled in how to interview people, so that you know what people want. Of course, you can do a lot online using Calendly and a lot of IT tools, but if you're setting up a proper place, because people sometimes want the human interaction, and because when people also stand and sit in front of you, you can observe their body language and body physiology and what have you. So you need to set up your office, make sure it's very decent enough, make sure it's in the right location so that people can come, because there are some people who would never come to you, if you don't set up properly, right? And you need to believe in yourself. Yeah, you have solutions. Now you've mastered the field work. You can solve the problem. So don't look down on yourself. Don't allow low self-esteem get in the way, right? So set up your office, your receptionist and you, then print your diagnostic tools. I mean, you're operating more or less like an hospital, so you've got to have tools. You have to have data. You have to have sheets, questionnaires that you administer, and you can profile, and which gives you a clue to the problem that your client is bringing. Usually, best practice for me will be to have diagnosed your client, using data, using psychometry before they ever show up for their review. That way, you will not need to listen and become biased or subjective in your analysis. You have data provided it's completed it properly. So when you have an office and you have a receptionist, you're good to go. You can go online now. People know you online because you're already talking about it. You're already writing articles. You're already getting to the right places. You're on LinkedIn. You are on Medium. You're providing solutions. You will build credibility with time. Nothing just happens over time. And you see, your journey becomes shorter if you have a reputable mentor who can put in a word for you. That's cuts short the number of years you would have spent, because when people see you with certain people, they assume that you are equally as good, so then the next thing you want to do is your diagnostics, right? Use your tools effectively, use it appropriately. Don't be subjective. You're not an advisor, so don't deploy native intelligence. Don't tell your clients what to do. You're supposed to just create an environment where they can have expanded awareness and understand their journey and be able to take decisions that promotes their mental wellness. And if they want to register for coaching or they want to register for therapy, that's another ballgame entirely. Please ensure that there's a disclaimer in your form. Ensure also that they sign a proper document that specifies what you're doing with them, because a lot of people can get into trouble if you don't do things right. Now, I know many of us are in Africa and we do things anyhow it comes to us right now, but a time is coming, litigation might come in, and what might just save you are those data, are those forms, are those attendance sheet at the field and all those kind of things. Well, I hope I have helped you. If I will recap, I said self-discovery and intentional reputation. So it starts from now. Before you even go to that institute, begin to build a proper reputation. Be a mature person on social media. Don't fight. You cannot say you're a relationship coach and you are the one who is fighting, who is petty, who is insulting people. Nobody's going to come to you. You need to be properly dressed. Don't just wear anything. Don't just tweet anything, right? Then go for your training, get certification, from a reputable institute, master the tools through field work and mentoring. Then set up your office, at least a receptionist in you, then use your diagnosis effectively. I know that we need more people. Statistics says right now there are one doctor to 600. There are about 6,000 patients in Africa. I think we have one family life therapist or practitioner to about 60,000 people, especially the ones who are properly trained, and we need more. So, if you can go to the Institute of Family and Engineering Development, that would really, really help you. Thank you so much for joining me. I believe that our sector will help Africa shape the future, because the most important nation on earth is the family, because your family is the production factor of the society. We need to gather data that is African in nature so that we can look at those data, and using the data we can actually predict the future of marriage and family life effectively. I remain your favorite family life practice coach, Praise Forward. Now on Instagram, you can find me as the Family Life Therapist. If you're listening to these across the globe, you can also take those courses online, from the month of May in 2019. I hope I've helped you today. Well, you need to believe in yourself. If you're good enough, then you can call yourself a child. Bye-bye.